pulls open a drawer of his desk, and he grabs a set of keys, and he throws them across the desk. He goes, "Here." He goes, "All my lawyers drive Jaguars." He comes in my office and he dumps a file on my desk. So I open it up. It's Burt Reynolds. And Joe's doing this, looking over his shoulder the whole time. He's like, they're following me. And he started to outline to me what he had been doing in surveilling Epstein's home and watching these girls go in and out of that home.
Welcome to another episode of Courtside Convo. I'm Dan Dosky from Legal Graphic Works, and I'm really pleased to have with me today Spencer Kuvin from Gold Law. What's the official name of is it Law Offices of Craig Goldenfarb still?
No.
Okay. Just
Let's
Gold
cut that
Law?
out.
All
it's
right,
Gold
fine.
Law.
Gold Law. Not silver, gold.
Gold.
And known Craig for a long
Prime.
time, too. And you guys just do a tremendous job at your firm. So tell us, first of all, about Spencer, about how you got involved in the law. Why'd you want to become a lawyer?
Oh, wow. Now we're going back.
Yeah.
So it's funny because when I was growing up, my father was a lawyer, and he actually went to law school back during the Korean War. When the Korean War started, he graduated University of Pennsylvania Wharton, and his uncle was teaching insurance law at University of Miami down in Miami. So he came to Miami and entered the Army Reserves as a cook and got a deferment because he was in the reserves, and then went to law school. So I saw growing up, my dad practicing law, and he did everything from insurance defense work for one of the big insurance companies for years, and then he started doing some plaintiff work. But I saw how hard it was and how it took him away from home a lot. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. Anything but a lawyer. It was like, that was my standard line. What do you want to be? I'm like, anything but a lawyer. Anything.
Yeah.
So I ended up in school, right? I ended up in college, and I was at FSU. And I was originally a pre-med major. And after organic chemistry, realized that wasn't going to happen.
It's similar. There's a lot of those stories around. Yeah.
A lot of those stories.
And that's usually the class.
That was it.
Yeah.
Organic chemistry knocked me out. And I ended up as an econ major. And I really liked communications. I thought it was a lot of fun. And I had a communications minor, so I was in the communications building a lot and ended up working for the radio station. So I was doing disc jockey work and really enjoyed it. I was doing video, audio production work and disc jockey stuff.
It's a fun job.
It's a fun job.
Yeah.
It is a fun job. And I ended up getting close with a lot of people that were working in the music industry in New York and out in LA. And in fact, one of the guys that I was mentoring with at the radio station ended up working for a company called Metal Blade Records out of New York. And then he got a job working at Atlantic Records in LA. And I was like, that's what I want to do.
Okay.
Because I wanted to find and discover bands and promote bands. And I was getting on stage for the radio station and announcing bands in front of thousands of fans. And I loved it. So it was probably about 1990. And people that are old like us might remember that around that time there was kind of a recession. So nobody was hiring. So I was going to do college radio promotions for one of the big record companies in New York. And they said, just hang out a little while. And, ultimately, we can hire
you in when things are better.
Things are better.
Right.
So I did. I kind of hung out, and I was working video cameras actually at a live studio in Tallahassee for the FSU FAMU School of Engineering.
Okay.
They would do live feeds back and forth to Pensacola. And my dad just got in my ear, and he was good at what he did.
Yeah.
And he's like, you want to work in the music industry? He's like, look at all the guys that run the music labels. What are they? They're all lawyers. He goes, you don't have to do what I do. But law school, if you've got time on your hands, might not be a bad idea. You could still get in the record industry, and you can actually head up, things. And I'm like, wow, that's not a bad idea. I read a bunch of books on it and record industry. And he's like, look, if you want to take the LSAT, I'll pay for a prep course, and you can take the LSAT. All right, why not? Give it a shot, right?
Right.
So I did. And I ended up like doing really well on the LSAT. But my grades were awful. I mean, just awful. Because I had switched
Well,
majors.
class and being a DJ late at night, I
Oh, it was just
did that
rough.
also.
It
Like,
was rough. Well, I was also in the Marching Chiefs. I was at
yeah,
FSU and I was playing in the marching band.
that's a lot of
So
time too.
really
Yeah,
a lot of fun.
yeah,
And I was probably having too much fun in college.
right.
Right.
It happens.
It happens. So I took the LSAT, did really good. Grades weren't that great. But he's like, look, just apply and see if you get in somewhere. So I applied. I got rejected at every single law school I applied to except one. And that was a little law school in North Miami called St. Thomas at the time. And they were just starting to grow.
Okay.
But it was ABA approved. And I could, if I went there, actually sit for the bar and become a lawyer.
Right.
So my dad's like, why don't you just try it for a year, see how you do? All right, fine. So I moved from Tallahassee down to North Miami. And I'm like, if I'm going to do this, I want to have a little fun. So I got an apartment on Miami Beach.
Mm-hmm.
So it was the 90s,
Yeah.
Miami Beach.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. Probably wasn't doing it the right way. But nonetheless, I went to my first year of law school and it was just like a duck to water. I mean, it was so easy for me.
Right.
Conceptually, everything made sense. There were no right answers. Everything was an argument. I mean, that was my life. That was great. And I just, after I realized how much fun it was, I said, well, let me try and kind of be serious about this.
Yeah.
So I treated it like a job. From 9 to 5, I was nothing but school. And then at night and weekends, I'd go have fun.
Yeah.
And I did really well. So I stayed there for 3 years, graduated and got a degree, and the rest is history.
Yeah. So where did you start out?
So when I was in law school, one of the things my dad always said to me was, look, I don't mind if you clerk with me, but you're not going to work with me. And I was like, really? And he's like, no. He goes, if you're going to work somewhere, go get a job somewhere. He says, if 5 years in, you want to come back and you want to work,
Right.
Great. And I think that was probably the best advice he could have ever given me because it gave me kind of my independent voice.
Yeah.
Which was nice. So
at this point you weren't focused back on the music industry. It was law that you had sort of fallen in love with.
I mean, I fell in love with all the different aspects of it.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed the trial part of it.
Yeah.
Being able to get up and convince 6 people, 12 people that I'm right and the other side's wrong, and the show of it, And what was great is the communications background I had with not only the Marching Chiefs, but with theater and TV and radio.
Yeah.
All that came into play because the trial is a show. I mean, it really just is a show.
Right.
So it all kind of came together for me. And I just kind of jumped in with both feet and started doing it. But I started working at a law firm, just doing like insurance defense work, working on cases,
Mm-hmm.
and enjoyed, just the mental stimulation of it. And then just kind of grew from there and started working at a bunch of different insurance defense firms. And then I ended up at a firm down in Miami. And I was working for them doing some really high-end medical malpractice defense work. And I'll never forget, I had just had my son, and I'm working these cases that were really sad.
Yeah.
I mean, some really sad cases where
bad outcomes. Yeah.
People were dying. I mean, kids were dying, and just miserable cases. And I'm having to defend some of the actions of some of these people where it just wasn't fun. And, my wife was like, you can't do this anymore. You got to get out of this.
Mm-hmm.
Because she could tell my entire demeanor changed.
Yeah. It's like bad for your soul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big time bad. So I started kind of putting word out, hey, look, I'd love to switch to the plaintiff side. And like I said, I was living in Miami at the time, in North Miami. We had just bought our first house. It was a little 2-bedroom, 1-bath in North Miami.
Right.
Spanish style barrel tile roof. You know, it was just this old little house. I'll never forget, we had to replace all the electricity in the house because it was so old.
Like the cloth
Yeah,
covered
they had
wires.
the cotton wrap wires in the walls. I mean, it was a fire hazard. But, you know, it was our first house. It was exciting.
Yeah.
So I'm working in Miami, and I had started putting the word out. And because of the work I was doing regional work. So I was all the way up to Tennessee and all the way over to Alabama, but I was up in West Palm a lot.
Yeah.
And I knew, you know, the legends in West Palm Beach at the time, you know, the Bob Montgomerys and the Chris Lamoyas and the Circe and Denny and all those amazing lawyers up here. So I was up here a good deal, especially with the medical negligence work, because some of the big top firms up here in West Palm Beach at the time were doing that.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting at my desk one day. It's like seared into my memory. And I get a call, and I pick it up, and I hear this Southern twang, and it's, hello. He goes, Spencer Kuvin? I said, yeah. This is Bob Montgomery. He goes, do you know who I am? I said, yes, sir. I know who you are. He goes, well, I've heard about you. I want to talk to you. And I'm like, okay. So I looked and I said, look, you know, I'm going to be up there next week for a hearing. He goes, well, you come on by and you sit down and talk to me after your hearing. I'm like, okay. So I drove up and had my hearing, went to Bob's office, and I had told my wife at the time, you know, I'm going to meet Bob Montgomery. She's like, wow, okay, great. So I sat down with him and his partner at the time, Rebecca Larson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's sitting behind this huge oak desk in his office.
Did all the lawyers still have Jaguars at that point?
Well, hang on. I'm getting to the best part of the story. I'm getting to the best part. Yeah. So he's sitting behind this big oak desk. But when I show up to his office, right, when you would walk into his office, there was a big oil painting of him behind the receptionist.
Right.
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, right?
Seen it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I walk into his office. And I sit down, and he's behind this big oak desk, and Rebecca's sitting next to me in another chair. And he starts interviewing me. And he begins to tell me that, you know, he had represented Kimberly Bergalis, which was the young lady who had gotten AIDS from her dentist.
Right.
And it was a huge case. And he had gone to Congress with her to petition for safety, you know, regulations throughout the country for AIDS. And what I didn't realize is that his expert in that case was a doctor by the name of Dr. Sandy Kuvin, who happened to be my great uncle who lived in West Palm Beach, actually on Palm Beach Island. And I didn't even realize it. And then he begins to tell me the story that after being an expert on that case, he was an infectious disease expert, that he actually came to the hospital one time and saved Bob's life. He had a bleeding ulcer. And they called him in, and he actually helped save Bob's life. So Bob felt like indebted, I think, to
your family,
to like the family. Yeah. So I was blown away. So he offered me a job on the spot. So the Jaguar part, he's sitting at his desk after he offers me the job, and he goes, you know, I want you to start right away. I'm like, well, can I talk to my wife first? And he's like, yeah. You talk to your wife, but she'll tell you to take the job. I'm like, okay. And he goes, hang on a minute. And he sits back and he pulls open a drawer of his desk. And he grabs a set of keys. And he throws them across the desk. He goes, here. He goes, all my lawyers drive Jaguars. Here's yours. It's parked out there. I'm like, okay, great. Yeah. I go, what do I do with my Toyota 4Runner that's parked in your parking lot? And he goes, I don't care. He goes, park it around back. It'll be fine. You can come pick it up later. Okay. So I get into this brand new silver Jaguar, gorgeous car, and I drive it back to Miami. And I don't go to work. I pull
probably
up.
Good idea.
I know, right? I pull up to my little 2-bedroom, 1-bath house in North Miami. And my wife comes out, literally carrying my son, who's now about 1. And she looks at me in the car, and I get out, and she goes, "What happened?" I go, "We're moving to Palm Beach, I guess." And that was the beginning of my plaintiff career.
Okay. Yeah.
It was
Not a bad way to start.
Whirlwind.
Right.
And then one of my first clients, I'm sitting. So you probably remember the offices,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
It's now, I think, a pet.
Yeah, it is.
It's like a pet
daycare or something. Yeah,
center,
over by the Tri-Rail station.
Yeah. Which he loved animals, by the way. So that's perfect.
Yeah.
But if you remember his office, it was like 3 buildings, right? There was the main building that Bob was in, and then there were 2 kind of satellite buildings.
Right.
And Ralph Wiles, our investigator, was in one, and then me and I can't remember the other lawyers that were working there at the time, but Rebecca Larson and I were in another building.
Yeah.
And when I first started working there, they had no space for me. They had like a cubby that had boxes in it.
Right. Yeah. It's not a huge office.
Not a big office. So I had to clear out the boxes, and they had to put in a desk and a chair. I'm in there, I think, first week. And he comes in my office and he dumps a file on my desk. And he would rarely come over outside of the main office, but he came in and he dumped this file on my desk. He goes, "Here," he goes, "I want you to deal with this." He goes, "I don't care what you do, just sue him first." I'm like, okay. So I open it up. It's Burt Reynolds. And I'm like in shock. I'm like, "This is Burt Reynolds. We represent," and he's like, yeah. He goes, "I represented him in his divorce with Lonnie." And I'm like, okay. And now apparently his girlfriend was threatening him, saying that she was going to talk about certain things that were happening in the house and all of this. So I look at it and kind of figure out, okay, look, we're going to sue for making the threats and intimidation and all kinds of things. So this was kind of like my first lesson in publicity. As it pertains to litigation and how effective it can be in changing the tone of a lawsuit. Because I'll never forget, his lawyer, or her lawyer at the time, was threatening to go to the press. And Bob's looked at that and said, "Forget it, we're going first." So the day before the deadline in the letter, when they were going to go to the press, we filed a lawsuit for the threats and intimidation and extortion and called a press conference. And we had the room filled with media. And we did an entire press conference about how this woman was trying to extort Burt Reynolds and making threats and everything. It hit thousands of news services, like worldwide. I'll never forget, we're sitting there, we were laughing because it showed up on like an Australian TV show. I mean, it was crazy. Yeah. And then, of course, she files this counterclaim, and it hits like 100 news services, maybe 200. Right. And, Bob was able to realize, you've got to define the story first. That's right. And he did. Yeah. I mean, without a doubt. The case eventually settled. But it was just an amazing, masterful use of media and the press to be able to kind of define the story and be the first to, to the public. Yeah. So that everybody knew what was going on. Yes. And speaking of which, let's talk about Jeffrey Epstein. As we were just talking about. Yeah. You and I were together in a deposition. It's famous. You can look it up on YouTube if you want to. Just Google the first question was, is it true that you have an egg-shaped penis? I think that was the first question. It was. Did you know that was coming? Oh, no. No. I was like, okay. Did he really? Here we go. Here we go. I think the second question was about lube or something. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. But no, I had no idea that was coming. Yeah. I didn't even really know anything about the case or anything at all. Like I was, showing up for a deposition. There probably was some kind of like, hey, make sure this is a big one or something. But what it was about, I really didn't know. So. Yeah. So how did you get involved in that case? And, let's tell some stories about that one. So going back, right, I had worked for Bob. And then at some point, Bob started getting sick. So he actually recommended that I go and interview with other firms. So I did, and I ended up working with a firm at the time, which was a very excellent, reputable firm called Ricci Leopold.
Yeah.
And they did product liability, big end work, high end work, but also medical negligence and other stuff. So I started working with them, and then eventually it became Leopold Kuvin.
Right.
And then at some point, there was a 14-year-old girl who at the time now was 15. And she comes into the office because her father actually was a painter for Ted Leopold's house.
Okay.
And they begin to tell this story about how their daughter was caught at school with some cash. And then she started talking about what had happened and how she had been asked to go to this man's house and give a massage. And it sounded incredible.
Yeah.
Like it was like, that's crazy.
Right.
But, we had to investigate and see if it was true. So I actually set up an interview to talk with the lead investigator at the time, Joe Carey. Really nice guy, former cop from New York. And when I sat down with him, I'll never forget, we met at Starbucks on Clematis Street in downtown West Palm Beach. And when I showed up, we're sitting at a table, and Joe's sitting across from me, and Joe's doing this, looking over his shoulder the whole time. And I'm like, Joe, what's going on? He's like, man, you're not going to believe this. I'm like, what? He's like, they're following me. They're checking my garbage. They're digging through my garbage. They're going through my internal affairs files from back in New York, they're pulling files on me here. He's like, I have never seen anything like this.
Sorry to leave you at such a suspenseful moment in this story, but we are out of time this week. Next week, when we come back, hear the rest of Spencer's tale, including how his client was the first accuser to come forward against Jeffrey Epstein. Part 2 with Spencer Kuvin, next Thursday at noon.
If you'd like to appear on Courtside Convo, send us an email or visit us at legalgraphicworks.com. Look for new episodes every Thursday on the Legal Graphic Works YouTube channel, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss a show. Thanks for watching.